Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome to Dad's Expensive Hobby.
What's up?
Happy New Year 2026, and this year I'm starting off with the Storm Arena Street Fighter Alpha 3 Ken, the V-ISM, the purple Jolly Rancher himself, showed up on my doorstep earlier yesterday, so you know I gotta do a video, and why not start out 2026 with one of my new favorite lines in the Storm Arena. Anyways, let's get started with him as if we have never done a Ken review before on this channel, even though I've done a couple of them. You should check them out. Let's check out his package. It is a typical Storm Arena package with a nice window, nice image of Ken right down there. The only difference I've seen with the between this one and the other ones is instead of it going to say in go down here, it says full 100%. I assume that has something to do with the game, with you got to power up to do the V-ISM or whatever. And on the back, of course, it's got the nice images of the figure looking really, really cool. Anyways, let's see how tall he is, because honestly, I can't remember, and we will move on from there. To the top of his head, he is exactly 6 inches tall, which would make the figure right at 15 centimeters, and I'm going to assume that jives with the other Kens. But let's get him next to the other Kens and explore them all three, the three I have, I should say, a little more in depth and see what the differences are. And here he is with the Player 1 Ken and the yellow Ken that I have. I guess that was an event exclusive or whatever it was. But they all three look pretty good. The changing color, I thought that it might kind of throw off the look as far as like make it look thicker or smaller or shorter or something. But it really doesn't when you've got them all three standing right next to each other. You really can't tell the difference other than the color. If you kind of get closer here, they've all three got that kind of that serious, stoic face on them in the package. It's definitely harder to see on the Jolly Rancher version right here, but it all looks really good. The sculpts themselves, I mean, I know that all they had to do was just use a different plastic in the mold, but they pulled it off pretty well, and I think that looks pretty awesome. And I've got to get him next to the Player 1 Ryu here real quick, and I think that looks pretty cool. My Ryu hasn't gotten here just yet, but I'll do a video when he does. And of course, I can't not show my new Sagat, because this is one of my new favorite toys, and they look pretty awesome as well. But let's check out the accessories and see what he comes with. Hey, real quick, if you like what we're doing here on the channel, be sure and give this video a like. Leave us a comment. It really helps the algorithm, and we're trying to get it to at least 2,000 subscribers this year, if not 3,000, so be sure and subscribe if you haven't already. Now, for accessories, we all know Storm Arena gives out a good spread of accessories, particularly for their price point, but his is a little bit of a hodgepodge of the other two combined. He comes with 3 different head sculpts. He comes with the serious head on him in the package, just like the other two, and this one also has that smirking head that comes with the Player 1 Ken, and he also has the open mouth yelling face, just like the yellow Ken, so I like that pretty well. He also comes with 8 different hands, just like the yellow Ken did. He comes with 2 fist hands on him in the package, and then 6 other open style pose hands just like the yellow Ken, and they all look really cool. All 3 of the figures come with that nice yellow translucent plastic into the red fire fist effect, and it looks really nice. And of course, it wouldn't be a Storm Arena without the stand. I like that we get a stand, but I'd like it, at this point we have enough stands. I'd like it if we got something different, another effect or more heads, something. But anyway, tell me what you think down in the comments about that. Now, for his aesthetic, translucent plastic figures aren't typically my favorite look for an action figure, but for what this is actually supposed to be, I think they've done it pretty well, because obviously, everybody loves the Ken sculpt anyway, and that's what this is, just in, Jolly Rancher purple. Some of the look, the different little nuances in the muscles and like the shading and stuff is going to be absent in this figure, obviously, because they're not going to shade, something that's supposed to be kind of see-through. And to be quite honest, the way this looks in hand, he does look like a big piece of candy. He does. He kind of looks like a Jello mold or a piece of candy or something, but he looks cool all at the same time. The hair and stuff feels the same, just a little bit different texture, but it moves the same as the other ones. The faces are hard to make out. I've been trying to get the faces as close I can in the camera for pictures so you can at least see the differences. The arms, this is more of a harder plastic, obviously, than the any arms that are done for the other versions of Ken, but it still works because the hand, or not because of, but the hands and stuff, they're still that squishy soft plastics, and I like that. I think they pulled that off really, really well. The gi is nice and soft, just like the other one, so I think that's pretty cool. And check this out, the chest and stuff is still soft, but like see-through, you know what I'm saying? Like, that is a really, really neat little thing. And obviously, for some reason, does the belt still stay black or whatever, and it's just him and his gi that change colors in the game? I don't know. It's been a long time since I've played Alpha 3. Somebody tell me down in the comments if the belt should probably be this color as well, but anyways, it's not that huge of a deal. But the legs and everything look cool, and the feet are that kind of harder plastic, kind of like how the shoulders and arms are. So that works for me. I don't have an issue with it. One thing I did notice, and it's not really that present on the knee, on the elbows. The elbows are a little more cloudy looking as far as the plastic. If I'm kind of showing you that, let me see if I can adjust my light. It didn't really help. But the elbows are a little cloudy looking, a little cloudier looking than the rest of the arm. And then we get down here into the knees, and these knees, this isn't translucent plastic like this, or it's just the layeredness of, the cap of it, and then the back part of the joint maybe kind of just layered it up to where it doesn't look translucent like the rest, but it just looks like a type of kind of cloudy shade of purple. Really doesn't look bad, and it's not all that eye-catching. I just happen to be looking for it to really see it, but if you had that on a shelf or whatever, you're not going to notice it unless you walk up and look at it, so it's not that big a deal. But I did want to point that out, that it is not translucent like the gi pants legs are. But overall, it looks cool, and I think they pulled off what they were trying to do. Now, for his articulation, he still moves really good. I don't feel like he moves quite as good as the other two versions of him, but that could have to do with the plastics they had to use, maybe. I don't know, but let's just start at the top. Of course, he's got all the same joints and everything like the other versions of him are. So the head will tuck down pretty good. Get a little bit of look up, and when you push that head a little bit, you see that? This pops off, and I think it's because that they had to use that different type of plastic to get this colored look. It comes off the ball peg a little too easy. And this one, I feel like maybe this one's ball peg is a little too short, and it's not given enough, quite enough, I should say, to grab a hold of in the inside of the head up here to hang on to it. So when you push a little too much, it will come off. Not a deal breaker, but it is something to kind of keep in the back of your mind when you're if you're wanting to like nuance pose this thing. But I don't really think that's necessarily what this figure is, designed for, to kind of be posed by itself. But anyways, shoulders still look pretty good, moving up to just slightly above 90, so not too bad. And of course, the full 360. Now, what I said was, when I said that they don't quite engage quite as much and don't work as good, these shoulders, again, maybe a little bit different type of plastic. They're soft. Even this cap piece in here, butterfly piece in here is still soft. It just doesn't quite come across the body as far as the other two do. But again, not a deal breaker. It's not like he's meant to be posed by himself. Bicep swivel, it works pretty darn good. Double jointed elbow, that again with that cloudy kind of plastic in there they had to use for that elbow, still looks really good. Unless you're somebody like me who's looking straight at it and for a review purpose, it will not bother you a bit. Wrists are the same, the ball hinge, so you get the rotation and the any kind of movement you're looking for, so that is kosher right there. Now he's got the same abdomen, so he crunches forward really good and leans back really good, and you get all your nuance, so that is no problem whatsoever. And give me a minute here and I'll show you what he looks like with the gi off. I just haven't taken it off yet. Legs full on split, no problem, no dangle, fantastic. They're drop downs just like the other ones, so pretty darn good front kick, and it will kick back a little bit. Thigh swivel, that works good. Double jointed knee, tons of range just like the other ones. And again, that different kind of plastic for the knee doesn't stand out nearly as much like this as I thought it might. So taking what I said about it with a grain of salt, it's just I think it might have been a necessity to use a little bit harder plastic for the knee. Ankle is a ball hinge, of course, so it'll go all the way down, pretty far up. Beautiful ankle rocker, a little loose, not loose, but a little too easy to move at the ankle. That's something that might wear out over time. No peg holes in the bottoms of the feet. And a toe hinge, of course, not my favorite joint in the world, but it does work and it's not too shabby. So his articulation's really good. A little bit maybe just a little difference in the shoulders, just a little bit, but everywhere else moves really, really good. And if you'll give me 2 seconds, I'll show you what it looks like with the gi off.
A few moments later.
Okay, and here he is with the gi top off. Looks just, obviously exactly like the other ones because he's got the exact same sculpt, but it looks pretty good, cool. And this color of him actually kind of hides that ab crunch pretty well, even in hand and on the camera. It looks like it's hiding it a lot. This part right here, though, is slightly darker than the rest of the chest and abdomen, and that's probably just the kind of where they had to use that harder plastic like they did for the elbows. So it's a little bit different color than everything else, but that's going to be covered up 99.9% of the time. Most of you all don't pose the Ken figures with their shirts off, but even in hand, it's not really that noticeable unless you're looking for it. But the chest part particularly is definitely the clearest, like the most transparent of all the plastic on the body. But it looks pretty darn cool. The back looks really good. You can see it, some kind of factory stamp right there. I don't know if the camera's showing it a little bit, but that's not that big a deal. Again, it would be hidden by the gi. And speaking of the gi, it kind of looks like when it's off of him, kind of looks like a fruit roll up or something, like it's made out of like some kind of kid's fruit snack or something. That's pretty cool. But anyways. Okay, final thoughts on the Storm Arena Street Fighter Alpha 3 Ken, the V-ISM, the Jolly Rancher man. I kind of like this figure. Again, translucent plastic figures aren't my favorite versions of figures, but I get what they were going for, and I think they nailed it. What they were trying to do with this guy, they absolutely nailed. He is 1 for 1 with the other guys, and the articulation is 99.5% the same as the others. I do have a question about the belt. Is the belt still supposed to be black, or is it supposed to turn purple like the rest of the figure? Somebody tell me down in the comments if they hit that or not. And of course, the elbows and the knees, those have to be a harder plastic because they just do. So they look a little different than the rest, but it's not damnable. Nice spread of accessories. I will give this an A. He's a solid A. Not my favorite of the Ken releases, but definitely pick it up. It's worth the money, especially if you're somebody that wants to do that little V-ISM effect or whatever in your display. You will not be disappointed. But anyways, that is all I've got for my first review of 2026. Be sure and like, comment, and subscribe. And this has been Dad with Dad's Expensive Hobby, and I'll talk to you all in the next video.